available to answer all of your questions about politics. And there's no judgments, there's no roasting, there's no debating. I'm not here to yell at anybody and tell you guys that your opinions are wrong or something. I am just here to answer all of your good faith questions about politics. You don't gotta worry, no such thing as a dumb question. You don't gotta worry about getting teased for not knowing things or just learning about things. I know that politics can be like trying to learn a new language. So, Daniel D says, why is this the third time Trump calls off the tariffs? Because he is he has the mental acuity of a goldfish. Like he does not have any consistent principles or beliefs. He just does whatever it seems like is a good idea at the moment. Let's see here. Cat N69 says, do you think Trump intended to impose martial law? I don't know if he has a specific plan for doing that, but I do know that that is something that he wants to do because he likes to have more power. He wants to consolidate power. He wants to increase the influence of the White House in any way that he can, if that is bullying members of Congress, if that is bullying judges, if that is declaring martial law, if that is doing a fucking coup, etc., etc. Gabagool says, masculine J.D. Vance. I mean, I think that I'm much more attractive than that fella, but I'll take it. Free Palestine from Empire. Don't disagree with that at all. Boring says, are you a democratic socialist? I'll tell you what, man. I don't really vibe with a lot of these labels because depending on who you talk to, they believe that the label means something different than you believe that it means. So if I tell you, and same thing with I'm too handsome for this, says, hey, but are you supporting Zionism? Depending on who you ask, Zionism or socialism mean completely different things. If you talk to a progressive, socialism means, having a system that is much closer to what they have in Europe or Norway or Sweden and shit like that. But if you talk to somebody on the right, they'll tell you that socialism is government controlling everything in your life and telling you what you can eat and what kind of job you can have, etc. If you talk to a progressive about what is Zionism, they'll tell you that Zionism means that Israel can do whatever it wants to the people of Palestine. But if you talk to somebody else, they'll tell you that Zionism means that the people in Israel have a right to exist just the same way as the people in Palestine have a right to exist. So, if you want me to tell you what my beliefs are or what I believe are the correct policies in either of those categories, I'll tell you, but I'm not going to say whether or not I'm a democratic socialist or a Zionist, because again, it just means different things to different people. Diet Coke says, because 75 countries have come to or are still in the works of making deals with America. I mean, that's according to the Trump administration, but again, that this is not the move. He is ruining our reputation on the globe. He is making us an unreliable trade partner. Costs are going to continue going up. All he did was kick the can down the road. So, yeah, this is still not good policy. Maybe it's not as bad as it was yesterday because there's a 90-day pause, but it's still not good policy. It's the Rocketeer. Good to see you again over on Twitch. That's like when South Park Republican was a thing in the early 2000s, but it's just a Democratic Party nowadays. Yeah, exactly. Angelique says, hi, Jared. Do you believe this is really market manipulation, or are they just dumb? I have no idea, Angelique. Some people have theorized that Trump and his buddies just wanted to short the market and make a whole bunch of money, or that billionaires now can buy stocks at a lower price or something like that. Some people are saying it's a negotiating tactic. I don't really think the motivation matters all that much. It's chaos. It is disorder. It is hurting the 99%. It is ruining our reputation across the globe. None of those things have changed. Peter, that is an example of the kind of comment that gets you blocked. I don't care if you have different opinions than me, but just ask a question, be part of the conversation. Tony the Tiger says, Daniel Larson? Name sounds familiar, but doesn't sound accurate to me. Diet Coke says, buddy, you've said nothing of fact or importance. That's his reason for pausing tariffs. The fact that I haven't said anything of fact or importance, I'm not sure if that statement means anything, my man. All right, scrolling up. Italiana74, so tariffs are on hold again. Jesus, can we get out of this nightmare? You know how to get out of this nightmare, Italiana, because I say it on every single one of these streams. We got to do the work. Let's see here. LVQ and shit says California is trying to impose the mileage tax. Is that constitutional? You know, I actually haven't seen anything about a mileage tax. But you know, because California is a state that is generally run by Democrats, and Democrats tend to try to adhere to, you know, procedure and bureaucracy, I would be shocked if we could make it, I could see a argument for it being unconstitutional happening. But, you know, again, I need to dig into that. Boring 2024 says, should the government be the nanny state? I mean, I don't think that the government should, you know, be telling women what they can do with their bodies. And I don't think that the government should be telling, you know, people that they can't have a book in their library because it has the word gay in it. If that's what you mean by the nanny state, then yeah, I don't believe in that at all. Bumble Bree says, I got a tariff change on an order today. Well, that's what companies are going to start doing. They're going to start raising prices because they got no fucking idea what's going on. They can't plan ahead because they've got no idea if there's going to be tariffs or fucking not and where, you know, it's fucking, you know, it's up and down. And here's the other thing. I was thinking about this on the car ride on my way here today, which is that even if the tariffs went away today forever, that doesn't make what he just did good, and it doesn't undo the damage of what he just did, and it doesn't mean that he is a good president suddenly, you know? Because there are so many other things that he has done wrong and that his administration have done wrong, and things that are like extremely concerning and dangerous to our personal freedom, our national security, our liberty, you know? So yeah, Samurai Destroyer, good to see you again. Wait. Why should I support the Democratic Party? I've already answered this for you, Samurai Destroyer. This is honestly the first comment that you have made that is making me doubt whether or not you're a real person. Live and Learn says, why did Trump call it a win when a judge said due process is now required? I believe, I'm not 100% sure which court decision you're referring to, Live and Learn, but I think the thing that he viewed of as a win was the delay, was the fact that he didn't have to bring that guy back from El Salvador, you know, on Monday, the way that the previous judge had. But you could be, you know, referring to a different Supreme Court case. I'm not really sure. Should Gen Z be more involved with politics? Yeah, everybody should be more involved with politics. I think young people should be involved in politics. That is, hands down, I think the most important thing that young people can be doing right now. It is a great regret of mine that I did not start really paying attention to politics until I was in my early 30s. So yeah, you know. Samurai Destroyer, tell me the most important issue to you, and I'll tell you why you should be a Democrat. But also, you're Canadian. Like, you don't vote in the Democratic Party, you know. Let's see here. Athena says, Trump, Kamala, or none. I don't think you're a real person. I don't think a real person would ask about Kamala because the election's over. Daniel D says, legit question, why are Trump supporters so hostile towards important questions and doubts? You know, there's a bigger answer to that question, Daniel D, which is, you know, I'll go through, I'll see if I can do this as quickly and efficiently as possible. Number one, I don't think that we should be, you know, talking about other people in the 99% pejoratively. I think that we should recognize that there but for the grace of God go I. If you were born into that family, into that town, going to that church, getting your information off of that Facebook account, then you would probably have those same beliefs. So that's number one. That's my little caveat thing. Hostile towards important questions and doubts, you know, the information that they have taken in has told them that either, you know, it's worth it to own the libs, or, you know, that Trump is a genius and, you know, we just don't understand the way that he's working right now. We just kind of have to trust the process and trust him to do the things that he's doing. You know, or they're just, you know, deep into the conspiracy minefields, you know. It feels like there's a lot of different reasons for why that could be the case. But again, you know, I don't think we do ourselves any favor by directing our ire at voters as opposed to the billionaire class and the Republican politicians who are, you know, working in league with them to ruin our country and fuck over the 99%. Apple says, do you like Destiny, the streamer? I think Destiny is okay. I think that, so he's very popular, and I think that anything that gets people more engaged with politics, and it seems very educational. You know, like he's a very smart guy. I think he has much more of a handle on things like, philosophical arguments, and he actually seems like he actually digs into the data in a way that a lot of other people don't, because it's difficult to read scientific studies and legal papers and shit like that. But I also don't love everything that he says, and I personally find him a little annoying. Nick G says, do you think Trump will succeed with real worldwide free trade? I do not, Nick G. I also don't think that that's really his goal. Mon says, do you think RFK Jr. should have been allowed to debate? I don't think so. I don't really care, honestly, about... shit. All right, so I'm having some connection